Hi everyone, welcome to today's video where we're going to be taking you along as we explore Querétaro's wine and cheese region. We decided to do a tour, so we're going to be showing you where we went, what we saw, and of course what we ate. You can find this tour company online called Me Gusta Querétaro, and you can do the bookings on WhatsApp. I've actually done this tour twice, the first time by myself and the second time with my family. So I'm going to be answering the big question, is the tour worth it? We did the bookings the night before and were told to meet at Corregidora Monument at around 9 a.m. There were vans lined up along the street and we took one of them to Tequis, which is a 40-minute drive from Querétaro. Our first stop was at a place called Mexicana Ole. We were told to find a spot and soon we were brought a tray with various cheeses and 2 wines to taste.
Yo soy la persona que nos va a guiar y nos va a acompañar el día de hoy en esta pequeña cata degustación. Antes de probar y conocer un poco sobre nuestros quesos y nuestros vinos, vamos a hablar un poquito sobre lo que es Querétaro. Muy bien, ese es el color de nuestro vino. Arándano. Frutas, muy bien. ¿A qué más?
We learned about how to identify wines and pair them with different cheeses.
Si se dan cuenta, tenemos una pequeña orilla. Esta orilla, vamos a verla de frente, tiene un nombre y se llama ribete.
This tour, as well as all of the explanations, are in Spanish, so I would recommend either knowing the language somewhat or having someone who can translate for you. Luckily we had Alan, so he helped my mom and sister understand what was happening. Overall, I think La Mexicana Ole is a nice place to start off this tour. However, I actually prefer what I did in 2022. So let's take it back to the first time that I did this tour by myself. Instead of going to Ole, I actually went to a vineyard, and I think that this was a really cool experience because instead of just tasting the different products, we actually got a little tour of where they're grown.
Toda la uva de meses es la que nos venden en el mercado, la grande, con semilla, sin semilla, y la uva para vinificar es pequeñita, es como
esta moradita.
Sí, hay verdes, hay de este color, negritas, y bueno, en el mundo hay 10,000 variedades.
This was a very good test to see how well I understand Spanish. I learned a lot of new vocabulary related to vineyards and wine, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you don't speak Spanish, you're probably going to miss some of the interesting details about this specific vineyard and about wine tasting in general, but it's still really cool, and of course looking at the grapes growing is a really unique touch.
Es un queso que ustedes conocen como panela. Pruébenlo, vamos a ir comiendo como panela. En realidad es un panela de cabra.
Okay.
Es suave, ¿verdad? Sí.
And much like the other tour with my family, you'll still get to do a wine and cheese tasting here. However, they only give you one very small glass of wine, whereas the other tour I did with my family gave us 2 glasses that were larger. Now back to the present. After Mexicana Ole, we loaded up again and drove through Tequis, which is a Pueblo Magico, a magical town full of energy and vibrant colors. It's easy to see why so many people gathered here. With the music and the beautiful architecture, there was so much going on. This pink church in particular is in the town square and it's absolutely stunning. Built in the late 19th century, this church has become one of the town's landmarks, drawing tourists from all over. Since we had an hour of free time, we walked around, took lots of pictures, and decided it was time to eat. Feeling hungry, we headed to a local market. The smell of delicious food hit us right away, and we found a cozy spot to enjoy a typical Mexican breakfast.
Mom, you liked it? Yeah, that's a main breakfast.
After eating our delicious breakfast, we walked around, browsing the souvenir stands and taking in the charm of the town. It's a beautiful place to visit with its colonial architecture and lively atmosphere, so I'm really glad that this tour includes Tequis. My family said that they would like to come back and visit again, and I totally agree. I think it would be nice to have more than just 1 hour of free time to walk around. The first time I did this tour, we also went to Tequis. However, because I was by myself, I ended up asking a few people to take my picture, and I just walked along the streets, looking around and recording everything I saw. The main difference between these two tour experiences is that Tequis on this day was so peaceful. Hardly anyone was walking around, which made it pretty easy to get some beautiful pictures. Back to the present. After Tequis, we went to a winery called Freixenet, which includes a tour that will take you 20 meters underground into the cellar where the wine is stored. We had to wait a little bit, so we looked at the cheesy souvenirs and then got in line. We had to wait in line to go down the stairs because each group was stopping to take pictures. Here's ours. As you can see, something was going on with my mom's leg. Are you excited?
Una de las cavas más profundas en Latinoamérica.
Que como sabemos, nos encontramos en la ruta de arte, queso y vino. Entonces es una botella. Esta precisamente la botella más añeja data de 27 años de edad.
The guide explained the process of making sparkling wines, but it was a huge group, so it was difficult to hear everything. And photos are allowed, but without flash, so we just used our phone cameras, which worked out fine. Overall, this part of the tour is really cool. We all liked getting to see the inside of a cellar. However, we were with people who weren't part of our specific travel group, so it was quite squishy sometimes trying to get everyone to fit into the small spaces. After the cellar tour, we went to the main building where we were given a glass of sparkling wine. You're actually able to keep this glass, and our tour guide gave us a couple of boxes to put our glasses in, so just make sure to ask the person you're going on the tour with. My experience the first time around was similar, except we had to wear hairnets and masks. There were also far less people, so it made walking around a lot easier. And with a few people from the group, we bought a cheese plate, sat down, and chatted. We had a lot more free time at Freixenet, so that allowed us to explore the vineyard behind the main building. Now, back to the present again. Our final stop was Bernal, which is another Pueblo Magico, and you see that big rock structure there? That's called a monolith, and this is actually one of the tallest ones in the world. This town is so beautiful. I don't know what it is, but I just get such a special feeling when I'm here, and I absolutely love walking around. We went down a couple of streets and couldn't resist snapping a few pictures of the monolith behind us. At this point, we were starting to get a little thirsty, so we found a rooftop bar called Black Onyx. It had a great view of the monolith, and Alan decided to order us a few micheladas.
This is in a michelada. I want your mama to try before I tell. Alright. But I need to try it again.
The food here looked to be pretty pricey from what we saw on the menu. However, we were completely satisfied with our micheladas, and we sat there for a bit taking in the view and having fun with each other. As we walked through the main plaza, Justine wanted to stop for a marquesita. This is basically a crispy crepe filled with cheese or other sweet fillings.
What do you got there? Marquesita. And yours?
We also couldn't resist trying some gorditas made with blue corn flour. You'll see these being sold all over Bernal.
That's mutual. Yeah, I like that one.
So you prefer picadillo and not nopal.
As to be expected, the food was delicious, and we liked both flavors. Well, except Alan, he's not a big fan of nopal. But we ended up eating everything, and we were still a little hungry, so we decided to try some esquites.
I wanted her to try something that was like very flavorful.
Chile del que pico del que no.
Oh, do you want it too spicy or no? Sí, gracias, muy amable.
60.
Okay.
favorite kind of esquites?
The regular kind.
Just the regular, nice and simple. Out of the gorditas, esquites, and what was the other thing you tried again? Marquesita. Marquesita, what is your favorite?
I like them all, but I guess if I had to choose, I would choose this one.
Back in 2022, the guide took us to a few lookout points on the way to Bernal, which was nice because I had more time to admire the monolith. Since I was alone on that trip, I spent more time wandering the streets, taking in the beauty of the town. The Yellow Church in Bernal is another iconic spot built in the 18th century. I had less time to explore than on the present trip with my family, but it was still enough time to see the main areas and enjoy a quiet stroll through the town. Overall, I think my first experience was more unique since we visited more vineyards and had a smaller group. However, I had way more fun the second time thanks to my family and Alan. So if you're looking for an easy way to visit all of these places without worrying about transportation, this tour is definitely worth it. On the other hand, if you don't speak a word of Spanish and if you don't have anyone who can translate for you, then it will be difficult to follow what is going on. And if you already have a car or know someone who can personally take you around, then you'll probably end up saving a bit of money compared to doing the tour. So it really depends on what your comfort level is and what your preferences are. In the future, I think that it would be a little bit more fun to drive around and then you can determine how much time you have in each of these places, but it just depends on your preferences.